All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Tribe Table Talk Podcast. What's going on, everybody?
What's up, man?
Good
What's
morning.
happening?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, what is it? Episode, I think, 13? I think
13.
13. Yeah. Yeah, man. How's everybody doing?
Man,
Straight?
listen, God His goodness and His mercy, bro. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling this morning.
Renewed every morning.
Renewed every morning. For real. Renewing my mind every morning while we playing.
Word up.
Yeah, that's
Straight
where it's
up.
at, man.
Calvin got the Pistons hat on, fresh from the Pistons game last night.
I had to represent this morning. You know, it was only right. Shout out to LaMelo Ball putting 30 on us last night.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
That's funny.
12 assists.
he must have sounded like he was balling.
He was. The whole thing. I think they had 3 players that had 30 points.
That's crazy.
Man.
Oh my God.
That's,
They've had like 80 points in the first half.
that's crazy.
Yo, I cannot remember the last time I was at an NBA game.
Yeah.
Can't remember. It's been a long time.
It's been
Yeah.
a long time since I went to a Pistons game.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
I think I saw them Pistons versus Chicago. The last game I went to. And Rose is playing then.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's that. You see how long ago that was, man?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You
The
talking
last
some
time I
years.
went,
Yeah.
last time I was there when LeBron was at Cleveland the first time.
Yeah, it did. Dang. That's a minute ago.
Right.
Dang.
Yeah, right. No doubt. Yeah, it's been a while. But no, so today, man, we are talking about the dangers of social media and how it plays to our kids as well. So what sparked this conversation was just something I was just kind of checking out on Twitter, where there was kind of a little, I guess a controversy or whatever you want to call it, with like Kanye and Kim and their daughter, and people were talking about how Kim is letting the daughter, who I think she's like 8 or something like that, and have a TikTok account, and I guess Kanye has spoke out against that, or someone was like, she don't need to be having social media. And then I guess there was like of course, when you have celebrities, sometimes you got, thousands of random people online chiming in with their opinion, so I was like, oh, this might be something interesting to talk about. Social media and just how it relates to ourselves, and then just kind of how it relates to our children. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. So I know that one thing that I asked y'all to watch, I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but that documentary called Social Dilemma on Netflix. It's good. It's insightful, and it gives you an insight into what really goes on, and when they kind of constructed a lot of these social media sites, and just how addictive it became, and a lot of them people didn't really even set out to create something such so addicting. And just one part that was really crazy to me, where it was just kind of talking about how, like, this generation coming up, they're kind of almost a very young age jumping onto social media and smartphones and stuff like that, and how much it's affecting their psyche. And I think this one guy had jumped on and said that from the number of I think he said the number of suicides in preteens and teens had like doubled or something like that in the period of 2010 to 2020 versus the period of 2000 to 2010. And just kind of talked about how more kids were suffering depression at that time, and then they had really linked that jump to social media and stuff like that. So what are you guys thoughts on social media and your kids? And I guess tell me a little bit about social media, I guess how it affects your own life. I mean, do you feel like you're addicted sometimes? Do you take breaks? Ernest, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you don't spend too much time on there. And you don't spend too much time on social media in general. So and tell us a little bit about why.
Oh, that's a good question, man. I mean, me personally, I don't have any issues. So from a business standpoint, we do a lot of social media. But from a personal standpoint, I've never been the type of person that wanted to connect globally and state my opinions globally, I've always been a person that wants to, if I have a thought process or opinion, I'll just hit y'all up directly. And generally, I don't care to hear everybody's thought process on what I may be thinking or what questions I may have.
Right.
Because I'll say this, I don't honor everyone's opinion, respectfully. And if I have a thought process, I generally just call the person, and I feel more comfortable with that. And then also, I think social media opens up the door and to a lot of what I don't know how to say it, Ken. It's vanity is the word I'm looking for, maybe.
Okay.
It opens up the door to a lot of just I don't even want to say ungodliness, but truthfully, it does, because I mean, you have the ability to state whatever you want to state, however you want to state, and be straight disrespectful and not have any accountability for it.
Right.
And that it's interesting, because you have people who state whatever they want to say that they never would say to a person face to face, but they'll state it on social media. And some people state things just to cause controversy. Some people are stating what their hearts are feeling, which is scary too. And then some people just want attention, and they want to feel loved.
True.
And I think there's all the factors you see play a big role in Facebook. It's a very self-centered platform. It's about what I feel. Look at me. Look at what I think. Look how articulate I am. And look at how amazing I am in so many different ways. And that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that if you I know you, Ken and Cal, you guys are part of social media way on a different level than I am, but it bothers me that people, everyone has their agenda. And I'm going to say something, and I don't know if this is going to change what we're thinking, but my biggest thing is that, to me, if you're utilizing a platform like that and you're not bringing more glory to God as a Christian, you should reanalyze why you're on there.
Okay.
So that's my deal and my overall thought process. Now, I know I didn't hit the question exactly. I went way far ahead, but man, generally, I think it's just what the platform brings, man. It can bring a lot of ungodliness, specifically in Christian.
Okay.
Just a thought process. Just a thought process.
Yep.
Word up.
Don't forget, I'm still waking up, though.
Oh, so you got a lot more thought to process.
Yeah. My mind was when I was talking, my mind was here. I'm like, man, where I'm going? You ever just start talking and you're like, man, I don't know what I'm about to say next, but I'm gonna say something. Man. That's exactly what was happening. Yep. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's flowing.
It was flowing somewhere.
Yeah, go ahead, Cal. Man, I was just kind of a similar question to you.
Yeah. No. And I feel like social media was part of my upcoming too. Just with the MySpace thing, I feel like that was the first one that was introduced to me. But
Black Planet, bro.
Black Planet. I never had a Black Planet page. That's funny, but that was around that same era though.
I had a MySpace.
I had the MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like when it first came out, just like, oh man, this is dope. And, I can kind of create it and make it like literally my, something that's a extension of my identity. That's kind of how I was treating it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what social media has become overall now, just like, some type of a way that people find identity, or people find identity in it or create new identities in it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's dangerous right there for those reasons, just because you can kind of create this separate alternative reality type, life.
Right.
But there's tons of different advantages to social media when you talk from a business standpoint, like he was saying. But I think that's just because of, how I think that's a testament to how, interwoven social media has become in our daily lives, all of our daily lives.
Yeah.
I can't find anyone that's not connected to social media in some form or fashion, even if it's just a little bit. so woven to the fabric of our society. Like big tech it's like, and it's like a whole nother pillar of society that has to be maintained, that has to be, directed and things like that. So I think now, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're right, because there's so many people or so many businesses that sometimes they make sure that they have social media pages, but they don't even have like websites. Like
Right.
That's where their business communication is taking place, because that's where their eyes are. It's just so much easier for their customers sometimes,
And that's the hub.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's where everybody's located. You know what I mean? Specifically the younger generation. I got my aunt who's like 60 or 70, and she on social media typing full messages.
Yeah.
You know what I
Full
mean?
messages.
Yeah, full messages.
All the emojis.
It ain't like, yup. It ain't like, no, it's like LOL, all that. You know what I mean? Stuff I don't even say. It's crazy though, man. Question though, that see, when you guys know, when you put me on this podcast, my mind moves everywhere.
Bro.
Do you guys, whenever you post something, do you check back to see how many people like it? Yes or no?
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, just shooting off top of the head. I guess you want to see how many people connected with what you said. It kind of is like it's like a confirmation almost that you said something dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's it can become a slight obsession. Like, you know, if you post something and you're like, you might check it a little too many times to see how many likes you got. yeah.
You'd be like, oh, shoot, I got 200. Oh, or I got none.
Yeah. All right.
Let me delete this off.
All right. Psychology behind it is crazy too, man. Like I remember reading, watching that documentary. They were talking about the creation of the like button, and it was like, we just set out to create positivity in the world, and let people like your posts, and they had no idea that it would be such a a self-esteem thing, where it's like, you don't post and you don't get any likes. It's like, oh man, what was wrong with my post? Was it, did nobody like it? Did I say something wrong?
Yeah.
Ooh, and you can see, oh no,
go ahead, bro.
I mean, you can see how that, can literally change the platform, because now it's like, you, like you said, we're looking for the likes. Yeah. And it's like, if we don't get likes, you questioning what you post there, you question yourself. Like, you can't even be original no more, because now you do everything for the like button,
Yeah.
I feel like that was different in MySpace. It's like you were so focused on just creating your own, space.
Right.
And didn't have a like button or comment buttons. You were just free to kind of do your thing. And you're just like, okay, this is me regardless. So that's a different switch when that like button came in.
Yeah. So, and the crazy thing about that like button too is that I asked that question. It was kind of a setup question. I'm sorry, y'all, but we all strive for dopamine, right? We all strive to feel good about ourselves, or someone to give us accolades, or someone to say something positive about us, or someone to be like-minded, or someone to connect with what we're saying, or someone to see the same vision that we have. And that's exactly what we strive for on social media often. And the hard part of it, that we sometimes strive so much for the likes of the community that I get biblical here, right? That God's purpose in our life, the importance of God saying that I've given you identity. There's nothing to separate my love from you. That God is the ultimate confidence builder. The first person we shall seek becomes not even relevant anymore, because we so focus more on the community, on what the community feels and thinks about everything we say. And honest truth behind it is from a Christian perspective, if we post something and it's about glorifying God, right? That's the first point. Okay, we're glorifying God. If we're looking for likes, that to me means that God has never told you to speak in the first place on that platform, or say something on the platform in the first place. Because if you're looking for someone to agree with now, granted, don't get me wrong, when you teach something, you want somebody to say amen. You want somebody to be like, yeah, I'm with you. I see it and I feel it. And I get caught in that. Don't get me wrong. I get caught into that. You can get caught into giving a message for the people versus giving the message that the Lord told you to give. And oftentimes the message that the Lord tells you to give is not always attractive.
Yep.
And then many people are not always gravitating towards it because sometimes it's bold. Yeah. Sometimes it's way out there. Sometimes it hurts and it convicts. And bro, I got a scripture. Can I bring a scripture out, or I gotta be quiet right now, Ken?
You
tell me, bro. You tell me what I need to be doing.
Do you think, man?
All right, so let's do it. So Jeremiah came to my mind, right? Jeremiah. Let's go Jeremiah 17. And if we went Jeremiah 17, let's go to verse number 5. So Jeremiah the prophet speaking, right? So and I want to get your thoughts, Ken and Cal, on this. Jeremiah 5 says, 17:5 says this. This is what the Lord says, speaking to the prophet. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. That person will be like a bush in the wastelands. They will not see prosperity when it comes. They will dwell in the parched places of the desert, and a salt land where no one lives. So craziness, cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord. So who seeks confirmation in man and people, who finds strength in other people, telling them. So cursed is the man who finds that strength in other people and other flesh. Is so crazy because honest truth, because the scripture continues. And I'm sorry, I cut us short. I can't cut us short on scripture, Ken. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. So it connects 2 points here. It says, okay, cursed is the one who relies on people and what the flesh, and the flesh gives them strength. If our whole strength in us and confidence in us comes from someone telling us that we're doing a great job, don't get me wrong, we should get accolades. I love them. But if our whole life purpose is saying how many people like our post, or how many people care about what we look like, or how many people care about what we say, or how many people care about what we do, and that's where we find strength, that's a danger zone.
Yeah.
If we don't find our strength in the Lord, meaning, and this is crazy, right? If I say this, let me say it this way. The word of man shouldn't be the main thing that gives us strength. God should give us ultimate strength, period. That's where we go to find our strength. Mm-hmm. That's where we go to find our energy, our thought process, our identity, our confidence, our dopamine. Mm-hmm. That's where we should be going. But in social world, a lot of times we go to people to say, how can you make me feel better? How can you make me see things properly? Give me more likes so I can be confident in who I am.
Right.
But if you give me no likes, I feel discouraged. I feel like people don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right.
Or,
go ahead,
or
Ken.
yeah. Or it's like, it's almost like I didn't say nothing. I didn't say something that was cool that really, I'm just like this. Why did this other person? Sometimes you get into a comparison thing where it's like, yo, why did my picture only get 10 likes? This person got 45 likes.
Yeah.
Like, man, what about this person that's so cool? I'm cooler than this person. Sometimes you can get into a comparison thing too. And I really feel like there's some good. So let's kind of, I don't want to make social media to be a really evil thing entirely, because it does have some benefits. It has there have been some times where you look back and you say, man, it's one good way to connect with people. There have been times where I got family members I'm able to connect with that live out of state, people who don't live close to me. Granted, I don't need social media necessarily to communicate with people or to, but it is sometimes kind of cool to using it in a way that where you can express ideas sometimes, and it's a kind of like a easy way for your message. The internet kind of does that. Like you can put something out, and a lot of people can see it. Like sometimes I will say something and I don't know who this thing might be helping. It might be some random friend on Facebook or random friend on Twitter, but my words or something I might share might bless them or inform them. And it's just sometimes I just kind of put it as let me, sometimes the Lord puts some on my heart, or maybe some that it might be a nugget of wisdom or something like that. And it's just, I guess, the most efficient way to put something in the most eyeballs to be able to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But but of course, like anything else, it gets abused. Because I think we're the last generation to really see or really know what life was like before social media. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't really Facebook, I think, was the first, outside of MySpace. I remember actually having a MySpace page at like 18, 19 years old. And just like Cal said, it was like an extension of our identity, because you could actually customize that boy where it was like your own background. You could put I don't know why no social media hasn't incorporated the putting on your own song on your page.
Yeah.
Like MySpace had it, bro. You get on that boy and
I remember.
And we remember, like, I was telling my kids the other day about AOL and like how it used to sound. We used to jump on the internet. You had that, and the kids, they didn't understand what I was talking about. What I was like, yeah, like, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old or whatever, early 2000s, downloaded music off of LimeWire. And before they shut down Napster, he was downloading, like, it was just, that was like, and then Facebook got into the picture for the first time, and it was like, oh shoot, this is kind of cool. And nobody had any idea that it would blow up so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're right. Yeah. It's a let me speak.
It could be a tool.
Yeah, it can be. Like, for a business standpoint, I mean, we definitely are able to share and communicate to a lot of different people and show them all the different components of our business, or businesses. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I also, you're right. I mean, being able to connect with other individuals, like I can find out everything about someone's life from social media, from Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media platform, just by not even talking to them, just by cruising through a news feed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you find out a lot. You be like, oh shoot, they got a baby. Oh shoot. Oh, I didn't know they was married. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Oh, they look at their family. You know what I mean? And I don't see any issues with posting your family. I don't see any issues with you posting your pictures of your family, because I might do it sometimes, right? Not often, but sometimes I might. Or posting something for my wife, or about my wife or whatever. I might do those things, but I often have to check myself and say, what is my reasoning for doing it? But you're right. It brings connectivity. It brings marketing possibilities. It brings the ability to connect with people throughout the entire world. Maybe family members you got in a different state, you know what I mean? Yeah. It brings that level of connection. And specifically when I was a youth pastor, bro, I mean, you guys know I was on social media all the time, not for me, but that was my way of being able to connect with them. Yeah. And because I mean, that was a communication platform. Yeah. But it's morphed into more and more to be more addictive. And that's the whole very addictive. One of the purposes of Facebook and what they're trying to create and their algorithm. MySpace started off as a college platform, right? It was only in colleges, so you have to be part of a college, and in your college zone,
Facebook was too.
Yeah, and I mean Facebook, and then from there it grew into this ultimate platform where everyone has access to it, and then it gets to a point now that if you don't have access to it, there's something wrong. It's kind of like the movement of cell phones. You know what I mean? You imagine back when I was a kid, Like, okay, my daughter can navigate my cell phone at age 2.
It's
Be like,
crazy.
soup.
My son, my 3-year-old, same.
Yeah, be like soup. Oh, there's my app. Boom. You know what I mean? I'm not telling her where the app is. She finds it. Toot. I'm like, dang, 2.
Scary.
When I was 2, we ain't had no cell phone.
Mm-mm.
There wasn't no Apple iPhone. You know what I mean?
Nah.
I don't think I saw a cell phone for a minute, and it was in a bag. My dad had that boy in a bag. You know that bag, like a whole case.
How old were you guys?
It had a wire on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a little before my time.
It had a wire on it, bro. We had pagers. You know what I'm saying?
I remember as a kid.
I do remember the beeper though.
I remember as a kid watching Fresh Prince, and he had the big old gray cell phone. That was
in the
like
car,
a big old brick on the side of your head. Yeah, he had it in the car.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had the big one. The big one also was that was the hotness though. Yeah. You know, if you had that boy that didn't have no wire to it, you know,
it was like a sign of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they had he because I remember there was an episode where he had the suit on.
Yeah,
and I think it was an episode where he was like he was making money doing something. He had a big old phone on the side. Yeah, you know, I remember watching Saved by the Bell. I remember Zach Morris had a big old phone. Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, it was stunting if you had one of those. Like, but I didn't have I didn't have my first cell phone. And I had people, there were friends in high school and stuff like that, middle school, where I had friends that had phones before me, but I didn't have my first cell phone until I was 18 years old. What about you guys?
I was in high school when I got it. Okay. Probably 10th or 11th grade, maybe even 9th grade. But it was just like one of those like burner phones. We just got to pay for minutes. I used to run out of minutes all the time.
Yeah.
So.
I had one of them. I got my first one, I think I was 16.
Okay.
But
so you caught on earlier than me.
The access though, Ken, was not the same.
No,
yeah. And the early cell phones, like you playing, the most I could do is play Snake.
Yep.
No key. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can't access the world that I can access right now. Like I could look at Snake, I could text. You know what I mean? I was dope at texting with the buttons 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 1 1 2 3. Yep. You know what I mean? You got. Yep. It ain't what it is now. You know what I mean? It's
take you forever to type a sentence up.
Some people were good though. Like,
yeah.
You be like,
dang.
Yeah. Girls mainly.
Yeah. My first.
Right. I was like, dang, how you do that? I'd be like,
my first cell phone was a flip phone, and I had Sprint, and I was 18 years old.
You had a Nextel?
No, I just had just a flip phone. I don't remember the brand. It was one of those flip phones. From Sprint, man. I'll never forget. That was my first phone. But yeah, like you said, just imagine how much the technology has advanced. Yeah. You know, like we used to be like when people weren't on their phones like that back then. You know, when touchscreens took over, then I was like, and then you had apps and then social media, boom. It was, you know, but I remember like it was fun just downloading a new ringtone. You know, you know, people paying money for dope ringtones, the latest songs that came out. You know, it was cool if your phone rang and such and such song came on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. You had different ringtones for different people that called too.
Yeah.
I did that too, man.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but, and I used to. That's back in the day, man.
Yeah. Yeah, kids don't understand, man. They don't understand.
That was like the coolest thing ever, too.
Yeah.
And different ringtones, different songs come on.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, it was like kids are getting younger and younger. Like you said, man, my 3-year-old, he knows how to get on. If I give him a phone, he knows how to navigate to YouTube, you know, click the video that he wants to watch. Yeah. And for them, like I have to be careful, you know, that it don't become an addiction at an early age, because they can spend a lot of time on that phone. They can spend a lot of time on YouTube. You know what I mean? And right now, sometimes like right now, we all have those things that those certain apps that we spend the majority of our time on. You know, some people like to spend their time on Instagram. Some people spend their time on Facebook, Twitter. My wife likes to spend her time on TikTok. Okay. You know, I don't really have TikTok. I don't really care for TikTok that much, but I know it's the fad right now. It's probably the most popular app, especially amongst Generation Z. But you know, I typically kind of Facebook. I spend, you know, most of the time probably Instagram, a little bit of Twitter, But I have to be careful because sometimes my daughter checks out TikTok, and you know, sometimes she'll like sing a song, and I'm like, "Where you hear that from?" She's like, "Oh, I heard it on TikTok." I'm like, "Huh? What were you on TikTok?" You know, and I just have to be, you know, I have to make sure that I'm like, get off that, because TikTok sometimes. I don't know if you guys saw that meme I shared with you guys. Um,
Which one?
it was like rapper makes song about drugs and da da da, and
Yeah.
then 13-year-olds. It's like that's so true. Like I be like they Ernest, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but there be these trends, like these dance trends sometimes on TikTok, and it's like these little 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids be dancing, but they don't even know the lyrics of the song that they dancing to.
Yeah,
And
man.
it make it seem like it's so innocent and so like trendy and you know,
Yep.
and it's like oh, y'all know y'all dancing to something that's just talking about drugs or how, you know what I mean, like how high he is and da da da. And it's just crazy, like, you know, the addiction that that social media can become if you're not careful. And I know, because my kids, I'm always talking to them about, I don't want y'all to be screen zombies.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know if you guys ever had that conversation with your kids. I know you guys kids are young too, but like me, you know, my kids are, you know, I want to make sure that, do you guys limit your screen time with your kids?
You switched it up on me, Ken. Okay.
I had to. I had to bring the kids in there.
You did,
Yeah,
man.
that's true.
Go ahead, Ken.
And if so, like what is a good benchmark when it
Man,
comes to
that's a good darn question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do I limit screen time? Yes. Do I know what that limit is? No.
Okay.
Officially, but yeah, because I don't know. I count screen time as like TV too. So
True.
my son likes to play video games a lot. And so, and that's a form of social media, or has become a form of social media, just because of the games that he plays. Those platforms are online platforms where you're literally playing with other players across, you know, the world. So yes, it's important, I think, to have limits on that. He loves playing with the phone too, but he's only, you know, my kid's only 4, or my son is only 4. So it's not social media necessarily that he's on, but he does watch a lot of YouTube though. So I am monitoring that, like what I think more so for me, it's just the content. It's monitoring the content.
Okay. So when it's time for Cal Jr. to turn the game off, does he get upset?
Like when it's like,
like, yo, Cal Jr., it's time to turn the game off, bro. It's time to go to bed. Did he kind of throw a little mini fit, or how does he respond?
Typically, he responds okay.
Okay.
It just depends on the situation. So, you know, if we're like, his friends are over, like neighborhood friends are over, he's playing the game, and it's like, all right, time to shut it off. That might be a different reaction than, you know, just bedtime. It's time to shut the game off. It's bedtime. But usually he's okay. But once he does have those stints where he's like totally broken up about getting off the game, or like totally broken up of like limiting his screen time, that's how I know that it's time to scale it back. Okay, maybe we should take tomorrow off of the game. But I've done that multiple times already. It's like,
how does he react to that?
Not good. So he doesn't he's upset instantly, because he knows what that means. But it kind of gets his thought process going, and you can see the behavior change. You know, now he's not so upset after a few days of without the game. When it's time to, you know, it's almost like a reset. So I have to go through those stints with him where it's like, you need to take a break because you're too emotionally attached to this game right now. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of how I balance it. Yeah.
Do you, Ernest, find yourself sometimes telling your kids like, y'all need to get off the screens? We need to find something else to do. Do you feel yourself like that sometimes?
No, I mean, yeah, all the time. What I will say though, from a parent perspective of having 3 kids, it's easy to hand a child a cell phone and tell them to go watch TV or a computer.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the fighting, the running, the jumping off walls and tables, the craziness.
That phone give you a break sometimes.
They give you the break as a parent. And as a parent, you be looking for breaks, and the easiest way to get a break is like, here you go. Go sit down. Okay. Go sit down. Be quiet. Go sit down. You know? So I can fall in that sometimes. Don't get me wrong. lately, Carmen and I have been trying to be intentional about definitely less screen time, because this is how you know it's an addiction, when your kids feel like they can't not go without it.
Mhm.
And honestly, we're making this about kids, but the bigger question too with this, along with this, is have you ever went without technology for a day?
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? And how do you feel? Right. And then that's actually probably how your kids feel if they're addicted.
Yeah.
So, and that's the big deal. It's like, man, it's like how much is being missed out on their emotional and sensory skills, or their
Yeah.
ability to
Attention span.
attention span. Ability to comprehend things properly or see the world properly.
Yeah.
How much of that is being affected because they spend so much screen time?
Right.
You know
I'm always I'm the kind of dad, I'm always thinking about that.
And creativity, imagination, all the good stuff that came when we were younger. I mean, that's all we had.
And you have,
Like
and those things are healthy. Like you have, like having a good imagination as a child is essential.
It is healthy. It is healthy. I mean, you can, and to me, that's a self-starter, right? If you don't have nothing going on, you create a game. You be over there having a little pencil, flipping it, like, oh shoot, look how many times I flipped this pencil. Boom.
Yep.
I remember when we was kids, we used to play a game pencil, and I'm not suggesting that kids should play this, but it's like you have to flick the pencil to break the other person's pencil. You remember that? Like we usually try to flick each other's pencils and see who will win by breaking the other's pencil. Like we created crazy games like that.
Yeah, you used your imagination.
All we had was imagination.
Right.
And then in this world, it's like if you don't have access to this one thing, how are you able to operate? It's so important that you are able to adapt, that you are able to be a self-starter, that you are able to create, that you're able to think outside of the box. All those things are important to me.
Right.
So I want my kids to have the ability to do the same thing.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I try to, like, you're right, because sometimes we have to check ourselves. I'm here talking about the kids, obviously, and for good reason. But yeah, at the same time, like, I have to set that tone for the rest of the house, because if I'm like, oh, you spend too much time on your electronics, I have to make sure that I'm not stuck to my phone screen, because my kids, they'll notice that. They'll call that out, you know, like that, hey, you need to stay off the game. And the kids are like, well, I mean, you've been on Facebook all day, so it's like maintaining that example, you know what I mean? That's so important. And I know exactly what you're talking about, bro, because my kids sometimes, and especially my oldest, we struggle with this. He's starting to be like where if he doesn't have a screen, he don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now granted, when it's cold outside, it's a little tougher, but when he's better when it's warm outside. But it's almost like, we have our times where it's like, okay, we're not doing screens right now. Find something to do, and I'll just let them use their, like you said, use their imagination, think for themselves, create that, foster that ability to think of something. And a lot of times that time without screens ends up him just going to sleep. And I'd be like, yo, you without video games, without my phone, you can't find them to do. You just go to sleep. I get a little concerned sometimes. My daughter is better. Like I said, kids are so different, and they,
True.
My daughter, she will find something to color. She'll find something to go draw. She's so creative. She'll go and make something out of paper. Say, look, Dad, I made a wallet, or something like that. Like, she has that ability, but my son, he struggles with it. And so I want to make sure that I foster that, and something like that. Sometimes I sound like that old man. I'm like, yo, when I was a kid, we used to do this. We used to go outside. We used to go play with the neighborhood kids and go ride our bikes, like, it's snow outside, but hey, we used to play in the snow when we were kids, and I know sometimes I sound like that old man, but I'm trying to help them understand, like, I don't want you to be dependent on screens to be able to, enjoy yourself.
Right.
So I think that's definitely a skill we have to build in our kids.
Yeah, I agree. For sure. 100%.
It's like, I think what's happening is like the entertainment bar is set so high now, It's like, and what does entertainment mean? It's just to capture your attention or keep your attention. And so it's like that, the bar is so high as far as the entertainment value, because with social media, and the internet in general. And it's like the trends, we get our trends from those things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of, I feel like back in the day, it was like if anything was trending, it's because you were doing it, or it's because you were, around people,
Right.
like in
Right.
school, like the thumb, like the pencil breaking things. Like that wasn't a trend unless it was in
No.
your school, or it was popular in your school or somebody
Right.
or somewhere.
Yeah, true.
So we just kind of like, the trends go so fast with the internet, and you just
Bro.
people just that's where we go to find what's going on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and
it's a
I
catch
think
22 with the
I think the
internet.
dangerous thing too with screen time is because a lot of times when you don't know who you are, you'll start finding your identity in whatever you see.
Exactly.
And I think that becomes a very dangerous slope in children, especially even adults. Like some adults don't even know who they are. And that's the scary piece. And if you don't know who you are in God, I mean, that's a big piece. And I'll talk about that. But going back to the children, don't know who they are. They'll find their identity in whatever they see, and it will ultimately change based off the trends.
Mhm.
And that's the scary piece, because now you be like, man, I want this, I want that, I want this. I remember the other day, Ethan was like, man, I want a big house. Dad, when we move into a big house, I'm like, listen, our house is big enough.
Right.
Like, we don't need no more space like that.
Right.
Like, man, what?
Right.
And you see these people on YouTube, the houses be like gigantic. I was like, we're
Yeah.
not getting that. This is
Yeah.
not us. It's
Right.
like these
All the
gigantic.
toys.
I'm like, where is
Yeah.
this come? Why do you even care?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
have your
Yeah.
own room. Why do you
Yeah.
care?
My,
You know what
my
I mean?
yeah, my kids see, yeah, you're right. Because the kids sometimes they'll see things on YouTube, and then like my son likes to watch Mr. Beast,
Yeah.
and he was like, oh, Dad, you should go get a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. I was like, dude, what is it? Like, hey, man, we should go get a Lamborghini. And I was like, sometimes it sparks good conversations.
Yeah.
I'm like, son, do you know how much those kind of cars cost?
A lot.
And he was like, yeah. And then I just kind of like, yeah, but those cars cost a lot of money. Like,
Probably
and
more in my house.
yeah.
More than likely more in my
Right.
house.
Like
Right.
we might have to live in that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I was right. And it's kind of funny. Like sometimes it does spark good conversations, because I try to teach them, try to mold them how they think, and let them know that some of this stuff is just
Whoa.
Yeah, Dion jumped on.
Keep going, okay.
Yeah. Because help them understand.
And that's it for the podcast. We appreciate it.
And we're done.
I'm sorry, okay, go ahead, bro.
We view the whole, help them view the way they see the world, because if they just jump on social media and they see what they see, it's like it affects the way they think,
Yeah,
and it's so like Cal said, that bar said hi, because there's so much availability of entertainment now.
Yeah.
It used to be like when we were kids, if you wanted to be entertained, you didn't have all the options you have now. Netflix, Hulu, YouTube,
Yep.
everything available now. We just had to turn the TV on.
Yep.
Like kids nowadays, there's such an availability of entertainment that like my kids, like, do your kids still watch cartoons? My kids don't even watch cartoons.
Yeah.
They watch
cartoons.
like when we were kids.
Not the cartoons I was watching.
Right. When we were kids, like our go-to was cartoons, because that's what was available,
Yeah.
That was what you look forward to watching. That was your favorite, your cartoon would be your favorite show or whatever. Some of the sitcoms you grew up on. But my kids, because there's YouTube now, that's their go-to.
Yep.
That's their go-to. And I'm like, sometimes, like, my 9-year-old and my 7-year-old, they would rather watch YouTube personalities than sit down and watch some dang cartoons.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. Like I sometimes I just hope that social media is not killing that innocence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or YouTube is not killing, because they do, they rather watch somebody reacting to a video or something rather than sit down and watch, I guess. And I guess, it's not a terrible thing that they don't watch cartoon. I'm not saying that's all you got to be watching, but I just remember comparing what I used to watch at that age versus what they watch. It's just like a stark difference.
Yeah. I will speak to that too. And I think I fall guilty of it sometimes too, maybe often, is that whatever you fill your eyes and your mind up with, it's oftentimes what it's going to come out of you. And let me say it this way. If I watch a lot of sports, a lot of things I talk about is probably going to be about sports, right? I'll know statistics, I'll know blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
And I'll naturally speak about it, regurgitate whatever I learned. Nowadays, it's always been like this. Just the world seems like it's getting worse and worse, is that if we're not filling ourselves up with the things of God, it's going to be hard to regurgitate, or it's going to be hard to have closer relationship. It's going to be hard to be able to not only pour into our kids, but also allow God to pour into us. And we'll start making decisions that may not be what we need to be making. And I'm saying all this to say is this: it's so important, y'all, what we are watching, what we're listening to, how we're filling ourselves up. Because honestly, our children depend on us to pour into them. Our wives depend on us to pour into them. And then our kids, think about our kids, like allowing our kids to be, I fall guilty of it. Don't get me wrong. Letting them play Roblox and letting them play, you know what I mean? Letting them watch whatever cartoon they're watching, even though my kids watch Magic School Bus now, that's on me. But
hey, shout out.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Magic School Bus, old school, not new school. But it's two of them. But anyway. I felt guilty, y'all. Man, so what's up, D? With the haircut?
Fresh cut.
Yeah, bro. You like 45 minutes late.
Take a seat.
I don't even know if y'all can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Man, my alarm did not go off, man. I upgraded my phone and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, we're talking about that now.
What'd you say?
We talking about cell phones right now.
See, look at that, man. Android done disappointed me this morning, yo.
That's funny, man.
Deion said, I'm getting on this episode.
Yeah, that's fine. You on here.
Hey, man. We talking about cell phones and social media, man. Y'all know how, I don't know if y'all know how much I hate like social media and the facade people put on every day, and how people be letting their kids go crazy. I think you were just talking about that, Ernest, like Roblox and everything like that. Like, man, I have a few testimonies about that. Not Roblox, but just people on their cell phones. I see little kids.
Testimonies about Roblox.
No.
The other day I was playing,
man, little kids, man, on TikTok, man, and how like these grown dudes be like commenting on their stuff, like, ooh, that's a nice dance or something like that, or just being creeps.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I ain't mean to interrupt anything.
No, you're good. We gotta be careful.
With the heat,
what's
bro.
up, everybody?
Bro, this is my last comment. I think I gotta go too. I'll just finish. I'm sorry, Ken. Is that okay?
Go ahead, man.
Well, I was gonna say, no, it's so important, man. I mean, even a personal conviction here is that what are we filling our kids with? And honest truth behind it is like, man, it's so important that our kids know who they are in God. So in my prayers at night, I always repeat to them. I try to always. I don't like using the word always because my kids will call me out on that, right? They're like, "Not yesterday, Dad. You didn't say this yesterday." But I try my best to speak life to them and say, "You are a child of God.
Amen.
God has created you to be a leader.
Yeah.
Your head is not to tail. You're above and not beneath. You are called by God, and God has uniquely created you. How you look, how you see, how you taste, how you smell. He uniquely created you how you are, and he loves how he created you. And guess what? God does not make mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely
gotta give your kids those affirmations. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Period.
Yeah.
And we have to do our best to fill our kids up with the things of God.
Yeah,
because if they know more about Roblox than they know about who God is, that is a problem. If they know more about the next dance or whomever, more than they know scriptures that should be on their heart, that is a problem. You know what I mean? So what is really most important to us as we're raising our kids? What is truly most important to you?
Yeah.
Is God most important, or is it just trying to make it in life and be successful and get more money and whatever it is, whatever your thing is? And I think that's the things we have to question. And I think one of the challenges we should take, like, go back to how we was when we was kids. We ain't had no cell phone. We had an imagination.
We have times like that. Yeah, we try to, and this is something that need to be more consistent about. But we try to incorporate like family game nights,
Yeah.
stuff like that, where we turn off the screens. Now, so in our household, I don't know about y'all, but in our household, we have a rule where no cell phones at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's dinner time, everybody put their cell phones away.
Who has a cell phone in your house, Ken? You and your wife?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said little Kenny has a cell phone.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean like no devices in general. So
I got you.
My two young, my two youngest have tablets. Yeah, so I said phones, but yeah, no devices
I got you.
at the table. So like, because sometimes they can, kids nowadays, they got to bring the tablet or the phone or whatever to the dinner table as they're eating. It's like, dang, you needed that. You need it at the dinner table too.
That's
intense. So it's like we've been doing that for years, where it's like, hey, dinner time is when we sit down, just like we did just like, in our times when we were younger, it's just like that was a time where you came together, you talked, you had conversation, and you don't have that barrier or distraction of a device. So, and I have to make sure that on top of that, I make sure that we monitor. Like, do y'all ever watch I guess more for like Cal and Ernest, 'cause I know Dion, I know Eli's still pretty young, but like, do you guys ever like hover over your kids and just make sure that they watching something appropriate? And have you ever caught them like, oh, what's that? What you watching? Like, nah, turn that off. I ain't feeling that.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely what I pay attention to the most is like what the content. So yeah, I've definitely caught Junior like, and it's like YouTube, with the algorithms and stuff like that. Sometimes they just kind of go where it leads them sometimes. And so
the ads
and stuff,
news, bro.
Yeah. And so sometimes, I've caught him like watching one of his favorite cartoons, but it's like an edit, like an adult edit of the cartoon. I'm like, wait, what is this, bro? I don't think it's the same thing. So you need to turn it off or go back to this page or whatever, whatever it is. So it's just important. I think the algorithms is really where it happens. So I don't know, but I've caught it just changes when it comes to that. But yeah, I've definitely had those experiences where I've caught the content not being kid friendly,
right,
and I had to redirect. So
and
him not knowing, it's not on purpose, it's just the algorithm. So that's just something you got to pay attention to as a parent when your kids are on those types of sites.
You definitely got to monitor, man, because them suggestions that come up sometimes, like my son is on my YouTube account, so sometimes I can look at my history and see, because there've been times where he's downstairs, maybe on the TV or whatever, watching YouTube, and I'm not really paying attention. And I sometimes, like, when I do remember it, I try to check my history. Say, okay, what he been watching? And if I see something that's kind of sketchy, I'm like, yeah, what's this video? What was this about? Like, what were you And so I have to be careful, because it's like the internet is so dangerous, and YouTube especially sometimes can be so dangerous if you're not careful. And they could just, stumble upon something.
Right.
Not even really seeking it out.
You're right, bro. And so you made me think. So my kids still watch some YouTube, but they only watch it on the main TV. It's got to be a TV where everybody can see.
Easier for you to monitor.
Yeah, they can. And it's always on my account, of course, but they can't be in their room. My son don't even have a TV in his room. But we got more than enough TVs in this house, but they only can watch it on the main TV where I can see it. And honestly, to be honest, truth with it, they don't know this, but I'm actually probably gonna cut YouTube off. Just because it's just too unhealthy, man. And
so you're saying for good, like cut it off where they
it's not needed. And I mean, so honest truth behind it, it's just not. I mean, or if they are watching YouTube, I got to be around, because what happens, and this is what happened when I was even young. Like, I was exposed to things when I was younger and I didn't understand. And when you're exposed to something that you're younger, you don't understand, you seek more of it, or you try to figure out why it is the way it is. And then if no one talks to you about it in a healthy way, you don't know what to do with the information. So you take that information and then you may gravitate to maybe your friends, and what your friends say about it. And now you direct a whole opinion and thought process around this. And that's how pornography gets in. That's how different addictions come about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the only way, but it's typically through what we see and what we hear. So with that in mind, I try to have as many conversations as I can possibly with my kids about the world, about sexuality, about life, about godliness, about purity, about all these different things within reason. And because if I don't, what they see on TV is really what's going to become important to them. And that's how they're going to direct their life. And when they get older. So I'm trying to deal with that younger, because this is the time period, y'all. This is their growth period. This is the time period where their minds are being developed. Now they're going to be developed for years, but this is core years.
Very crucial years.
And this is where they're going to be developed and strengthened. And this is the most important time to build foundation in them. So that's more important to me than them watching YouTube and being quiet. Don't get me wrong, I get tired, and I'm gonna get tired tomorrow, and I might be like, here's the phone. But I'm just gonna be real. But on the other side of it, though, there's things I can cut off that's not important. Like I can cut off YouTube easily, and I can say, well, you can play this, or well, you can watch this. For example, if my kids watch TV late, they're not watching whatever they want. They only got 3 or 4 shows they can watch.
Right.
One of them is Magic School Bus. I've seen every episode.
I know what you want.
Another one is Storybots. I've seen every episode.
Another one, you know what they.
I know exactly, and I know exactly what they're receiving from.
You screened
it
already.
Saying?
Yeah.
Another one is Veggie Tales. I've seen every episode. You know what I'm saying? So I know what's being poured into them from the screen time that they're having.
Right.
So now when they go to sleep at night, they don't go to sleep getting bad dreams. They go to sleep just at peace. So that's important to me. So
and I can
this
do
whole
better
conversation
with that.
made me think about that. But
yeah, I can do better with that, because I'm more liberal with what I allow them to watch. And sometimes, it's like, like I think there was something that I let my daughter watch one time, and it's like, it was like, now it makes her like, she's a little like scared to be in her room by herself. It was like some like scary thing, but it was like kids, but it was like a spooky thing. And ever since then, she's like, want to sleep with us every night instead of being in her room. And I'm like, what? And I don't know. But yeah, you're right. You made me think, like, we have to be careful and make sure we monitor and also limit, like you said, you know what I mean? Because that's important. And I think it's really important, just like with any media, because we have to be there to make sure that we shape how they see the world, sometimes process certain things, because think about it, like we were kids, they're not that much different from us. When we were kids, we watched hours and hours of TV, it was different. We watched, back when it was MTV, hours and hours of MTV videos, hours and hours of, even as a kid, we still put video games back when it was PS1 and Xbox, and, so we still, as kids, consumed a lot of media. It's just like on steroids now.
Yeah. Big time.
Now it's like the availability of so much, it's like, yeah, I can imagine me being 10 years old and having everything available to me, what the kids have available to them today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's important that, like when they watch something, or if they see something and it's like, that's not real, right? Like, let me talk to you about this, kind of like when, my son sees something on, on YouTube, and it's like, hey, Dad, we should go try that. I'm like, let's have a conversation about that, because it's like we have to be able to, as fathers, shape their reality and sometimes mold them the way they think to really help them process those things. Because as kids, they don't really understand, like you said, Ernest, 100%, the things that they see, and being there to really help them, because if we don't, then, you know, like you said, it really influence the way they think,
Yeah.
you know, influence their thinking ability, their critical thinking skills and all that kind of thing. Like we should be there to shape that.
Yeah, and they got vulnerable minds, bro. I mean, just
Yeah,
think about it.
right.
How often do you see your kid acting like you or your child acting like you? You know what I mean? Whether you had an attitude in the morning or in a moment, or whether you were super nice, or whether you have certain mannerisms, or whether you walk a certain way, or whether you look a certain way. You know what I mean? Your kids got vulnerable minds, so they watch and they see everything you do, and they watch and see everything everyone else does.
Yeah.
Based off what they have access to.
Yeah.
And that's how they're being molded. I think it goes back to Proverbs. I think it's in 22 where it says, train up a child in the way they should go. And when they get old, they shouldn't depart. Yeah. Paraphrasing. That's what it's talking about. It said, train up. We, not TV. Now we can utilize that as a learning tool. Don't get me wrong, but we are to train up our children the way they should go.
Not the algorithm.
Not the algorithm.
That's good.
And that's so important, right? And but another key to that is if the Lord's not poured into us, we don't train our children the right way
to do that.
Yeah. So that's it works hand in hand. Like you got to allow the Lord to pour into you, and then you pour into them or train them up.
Yeah.
And then they'll know which way to go, and they won't depart from it. Yeah. And that's so key. And we forget those things so easily because we get caught up into life.
Yeah. And
how do you save my fault?
No, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say, how do you save those kids who are exposed to all that stuff 24 hours, you know, parents neglectful, or parents don't really know what's out there, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you spread that message? Like, just to tell them, hey, you know, watch what your kids are doing. Like, you really got to watch the stuff they're watching, because they can sneak some stuff into all of those cartoons. Like you said, you looking at the YouTube history, you know, you're looking at VeggieTales, then one day they got some old crazy ad pop up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how do you express that to, you know, grown adults to really truly monitor those things that you allowing your kids to do or to watch? Because that's where most of that stuff come in, that when we not watching.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. You said, how do we
spread the word to people who, like parents? Like, how do you spread the word to like parents or adults to, you know, truly monitor the
their kids?
Like truly monitor the stuff they're doing, watch them, like watch what they're watching.
I mean, I guess as parents, it's hard to tell other people how to parent. But I guess like it depends on like what are your morals? You know what I mean? Like, as we come, our standpoint is coming from a standpoint of believers. You know what I mean? Who want to make sure that their kids are not exposed. But some people don't really. I guess some parents don't really have that same conviction. I guess, you know. So I guess that stuff sparks from your own convictions. You know, so if you don't think it's a big deal, then you won't really monitor as much as parents, you know. But I do think, Dion, that you touched on something slightly, that sometimes we do allow phones to be our babysitters.
Yeah.
And as an excuse to not really be involved with our kids and expend the energy that sometimes our kids need from us, because it's so easy to just be like, yo, here, take this phone, leave me alone. You know, and it's like, so what I would say, I guess, to some of those parents who are, I guess, fall into that, it's like, you know, be involved with your kids, you know, give them the energy, because they need that play with you, especially as dads. We all know dads are the ones that wrestle with kids, play fight with kids, you know, play video games with our kids and stuff like that. And if we don't give them that, and that sometimes we could just fall into being lazy parents. Some parents are just lazy.
Yeah,
true.
Some parents are just lazy. They rather just give you the phone, leave me alone. I'm tired from work, or, you know, I'm tired from this and that. Y'all getting on my nerves. Here's this phone. Sit down and be quiet so I can watch my favorite Netflix show or something like that. Yeah. Now, like, don't get me wrong. Like Ernest said earlier, sometimes it's okay as a parent when you burnt out. Sometimes, hey, take this phone. I need a break. Yeah. But sometimes when it's like, you know, when you're always on your device as a parent, and then you give the kids devices, but you're not really actually being present with them or taking the time, at least, regularly, to be present with them, then I think that's a problem. But that has to be something that as a parent you recognize, and something that you care about, something that, you know what I mean, that comes from your own morals.
I think we touched on this already, but it's just understanding when you have young kids, and I'm talking to just parents with young kids, is that how crucial it is in these years of, what they're, what they're intaking, you know what I'm saying? Just because this is where their brain is developing the most. So, if there's any time to be involved and be on top of your game as a parent, is those early years.
Definitely.
Because that kind of sets the course. And we kind of know what social media is today. It's like it's setting the course for a lot of kids right now,
right?
Instead of the parents. And so, I feel like the more we can pour into them as early as we can pour into them, and put that as our priority as a parent, then the easier it becomes as they get older. The more sure of themselves they are, the more, less dependent they are on these, all this content and these social media companies that they by design, it's to grab their attention.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer by design. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in, that, what the enemy meant for evil, Lord meant for good. So it's like, there's a lot of good that, because I know a lot of the content that I take in on YouTube, and a lot of how I feed myself spiritually is through YouTube videos and sermons, things like that. So, that is a tool that you can use.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. I learned so much. Yeah.
Yeah. On many different things. Just from watching content and content creators on certain subjects. So yeah, it's definitely can be a tool, but I guess in these earlier years, my advice to a parent is just to be as involved in that process of their thought process as much as possible. And it makes it much easier as they get older.
Right. And that takes work.
Yeah, I agree. And to that question too, to Dee's question too, I think from a perspective of ourselves, whatever you have accessibility to, you can have impact. Meaning this, you have accessibility or access to social media platforms. What you place on your own social platforms can impact the generation as well. You are an influencer, whether you believe it or not. And that's speaking to everybody. So whatever you have access, or whomever you have access to, you're an influencer over. So, and how you are and what you speak and what you do becomes key.
Yeah.
So, and so that's what I would respond is saying, okay, look at your social platform. What are you posting? How is that influencing a generation or kids? Okay. Look at the kids that are in your life now. How are you influencing them? What are you speaking to them? Are you speaking life to them? You know what I mean? So whatever's in your access, I think that's where you focus on influencing. And we all have access to all types of young people.
Yeah. Listen, I guess this could be my last question for you guys. What is there, speaking of kids, social media, stuff like that, and cell phones, what is there an age where you feel like you would be comfortable giving your child a phone? Or is it more or less of an age thing and more of I feel like you're mature enough to own a cell phone? I guess, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Because some of us that's around the corner for some of us. My son is 9 going on 10. He got kids his age that already got cell phones, iPhones. So I guess, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Kids owning cell phones? Is there an age where you feel like it's too young? And I guess, what are some of your own thoughts for your own children?
That's a tough question. Just because I think everything is so, it's almost like one platform already, because I feel like if your kid has a tablet, he pretty much has a cell phone. Because what you're going to do with the cell phone, other than call someone, that you can't do on a tablet, So I think it's just the way you introduce it. Like, okay, are you ready to have a cell phone and be like on your own, where I can barely monitor you that much, with this device, or
have access to you while you're away from me.
Exactly. So when you're in school, are you ready to have their cell phone with you at school?
Yeah.
Or your device with you at school, where I can't see you or monitor you.
And sometimes it becomes a peer pressure thing, because it's like, sometimes parents give in to giving their kids phones because their kids are like, well, everybody else in school got a phone. How come I got to be that? It's almost like kids don't want to be teased for not having a phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or having a dumb phone, and all their friends got the latest whatever phone. It's almost becomes like that too, like that peer pressure thing.
Yeah. And that's a tough conversation to have too. It's just like, in general, it's just being the influence when your kids are ready for school or are at school, and not being so influenced by what everybody else is doing at school.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, it's a totally different, and that's an interesting topic too.
Yeah.
Maturity for me. And Cal's right. I mean, you have accessibility to a cell phone now, or a computer now, because that's all a cell phone is a computer. But with the ability to communicate. And so to me, I differentiate both, right? So the ability to look at the world wide web and social platforms and apps versus having the ability to call and connect with me or mom or whomever. So it depends on maturity. So, and also, I mean, shame on me if I'm not having conversations about what she has, or my daughter or my son, my daughters or my son, what they have access to, and what it means, and how to have healthy access or have healthy usage.
Right.
I have to do that prior to granting. Like when and I got to help her mature. You know what I mean? And that's really kind of my goal. Like, I'm not thinking my daughter's not gonna get a cell phone anytime soon. It's just not. But she will eventually, probably when she turns a teenager, and it's gonna be first and foremost depending on her level of maturity. Which my daughter's stupid mature, like she's super mature. So I ain't. Listen, her palate's on another level, her reading's on another level, her articulation is on another level, comprehension. I mean, all this stuff. She's just old soul.
And she what, 8, 7, 8?
She's 8. So she's an old soul, man. Just who she is, man.
Yeah,
so I mean,
filet mignon.
Yeah, she just super mature, man. She just be giving me wisdom. I'd be like, man, you're right, baby, you're right. I need to think about that. But yeah, so it's maturity for me, Ken. And she will probably get access to a cell phone faster than E, but Ethan's gonna be probably more of like, hell, I don't know if right now he's 5. He ain't thinking about no cell phone. He just think about having fun in life. And that's where I want my kids to stay.
Right.
To stay, be kids while you're a kid. Kid, you know what I mean? Enjoy, man. I mean, like when you
play.
Get older, have fun. Forget all this social stuff, man. Have fun. Laugh all day. You know what I mean? Run all day. That's what you do. And that's where he's at. You know what I mean?
Ethan will run all day too.
He will run, bro. He will run nonstop.
Yeah, that's my 3-year-old is the same way, man. And it's go ahead, Dion. Same for you.
Well, I mean, I'm along the lines of E. Like, me and wife, we talked about this already. Like, we already got a little plan. I mean, the plans change, of course, but we already said we put him in school. He'll have his play clothes. He'll have his play shoes, and then all the stuff that the kids bragging about at school, he'll have it at the crib. He ain't got to prove nothing. Like, I already have a plan set in motion where he will understand his worth. Like, he'll understand, like, okay, you special. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing because they are followers. You know what I'm saying? So, so answer the question, maturity. Okay. If he out and about doing stuff, if he got like, little games or little clubs he a part of, and I'm gonna be away from him, hit over the phone, man. This is what you do with the phone. Give us a shout, you give us a ring, give them that talk. Hey, don't do all this other stuff on it. But
Yeah.
So maturity, and of course, maybe high school. You know what I'm saying? That's when kids get their identity. I mean, they already have it established, and they try to get into this new space. So
Yeah. I was about to say.
Point.
Yeah, it is. I was gonna say something before I had Dion say what he said. Oh, it was something good, but I lost it. But
yeah, he made a good point though about how mobile your kids are. Like the more mobile they are, where you can't be around them, I feel like that's a good cause for cell phone usage.
Yeah, you just reminded me. So, and sometimes we have to be okay with our kids playing. What I mean by that is we catch ourselves. I don't know about you guys, but I catch myself in the catch-22. What I mean by that is sometimes they may go through a period where they're on their devices, on video games, on the phone or whatever. And I say, hey, time to get off. We need to go find something to do. Then they obey me, but then they get loud. They get rambunctious. They running around. They jumping on the couch, And so part of me is like, I can't really get mad at them because this is what I told them to do.
Yeah.
And then you're almost tempted to be like, you know what, get back on the phones. But we have to give ourselves space as parents to allow our kids to be kids. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes we don't want to be annoyed. We want the peace and quiet. But that's not really, when you have small kids, that's not really, it's not really a reality 24/7 when you make them get off electronics, because it's like when if you want them to play, then that's going to come with it.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with it. Like I can't stand parents. One of my pet peeves when I see parents sometimes that act like their kids got to sit still and be quiet all day. Or, the slightest noise or the slightest thing they do, it's like, oh God, will you go sit down somewhere? You're getting on my nerves. Like, that's a child. They got energy, especially these boys.
That's common, man. That's more common than you think, bro.
Yeah. I feel like I fall guilty of it too. I ain't even gonna hold you up. It's like
I appreciate the honesty though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, bro.
Yeah.
So I feel like I needed to hear that for sure. And that was a good point.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about
breathing. Sit down.
You're breathing too hard.
True.
Hey, bro.
Why are you breathing so loud?
Yeah. And I was thinking about just last night. It was we was at the game. The kids came. This is after the game. Everybody's leaving. It's pretty much an empty place. We just kind of soaking up the moment at the arena. But there's a point where the kids started running around, all through the bleachers and stuff and up the steps.
You get nervous.
Getting nervous. And it's just like, my wife was already yelling at him. She was like, get down and come on, let's go. And blah, 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 blah. And chill out, stop running around. But I literally had that same thought you were just articulating. It was just like, well, let them run around, let them do their thing. We're about to leave soon, it's a balance. Just let them be kids, let them play, let them enjoy it, let them have fun. So that's important, bro.
Right.
I agree too, fellas. For me though, it depends on where they're at. And
absolutely.
No, 100%.
Because
you went to the airport, like, jump on that plane.
It depends. If they're in a safe place where if they're in a safe place where they can just be free, but at the same time, I want discipline, right? Because life ain't always all day. You know what I mean? Because my son can do that. And my daughter, my Grayson can do that too. All day. All right. Like, listen, but there's also boundaries. There's boundaries, healthy boundaries, right? I remember when this is what taught me this really quick here back when I first became doing youth stuff in Grand Rapids. We had a group of kids go to this event, and we had like 20, 30 kids, and they're all high schoolers, and they couldn't sit still to listen to the program. They're being disrespectful. We had to apologize. We had a long conversation after that. I'll just be honest with you. But because they weren't taught healthy boundaries for environments that we place them in. And it was like a big time fundraiser, and we were, giving funding and all that type of stuff. But that brought something to my attention. Like, man, you were never taught this. So I can't be like, I'm frustrated, but I can't be mad because this is not what you were taught. Mm-hmm. And if we are taught non-healthy boundaries, of course, our reaction in every situation that we don't like is to go to a place that we feel comfortable where, I want to do what I want to do. But healthy boundaries also says sometimes you're going to have to sit still. Mm-hmm. Even when you don't feel like it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're going to have to sometimes. I know it's hard. And you're going to have, but you got to have your time too, where you can be free as a kid. Don't get me wrong. It's not when they at home, I'm not like, sit down, be quiet, military. Right. Don't move. You know what I mean? I ain't doing that.
Don't breathe.
This is their house. Do them, do you.
All right.
But when we're out and about, there's also boundaries too. So.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I used to get, I still get a little stressed out sometimes when we take our kids to the grocery store or to the mall.
Man.
I got a question.
Daughter be cutting
grocery store, bro.
I got a question and I want one of y'all to answer it and what you think, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, like, let's say you got, a set of friends or whatever, like they free to do whatever. Then you got, the friends or the crush that you may have, and, they stuck in the house. They can't go nowhere. How can I say this? Do you think when they get older, they go buck wild? Is there a reason why they go buck wild? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Is it because they're kept in the house?
You want to answer your own question, D?
You mean like
I feel like you're relating to this?
So you're asking if do they get?
I'm just saying because they
get buck wild because they were sheltered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shelter.
Is there any kind of belief on your end? Do you think that it's truth to it? Do you think?
I think there's a truth to it. Yeah. I've seen that not in my own life, but I've heard like,
I went buck wild.
Like my mother tells me how she grew up. You know what I mean? How she, they weren't allowed to do anything. She grew up in, she grew up in a Jehovah's Witness household. So like they didn't even celebrate holidays. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she told me about how, when she got older, it was like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why that balance come in, because you don't want your kid to be so repressed that as soon as they get that, because you want your kids to be like, you don't want your kids to be like so waiting for the day they get to leave the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
can't wait because I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that and this because y'all let me do nothing. That's why it's that balance. You got to be balanced, letting kids have freedom, but at the same time have boundaries, like Ernest said. That's what I think that's what my thoughts would be.
Yeah. Well, I say all that just to say, like, you just said the thing, like, have balance, man. Because if you lock your kids down, they turn 18 or they get that freedom, they get that chance.
Yeah.
Be out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, bro.
I was just saying, it's like sometimes locking them down. It's like sometimes they'll just be in social media land. So like you said, it's balance, and we just got to understand the dynamics of the world we live in, especially as parents. I just says it. I think.
Yeah. And I would say too, this is kind of random, but utilize certain tools that can help you limit screen time too. There's apps where you can monitor your kids' usage. There's apps that can kind of like what is it like? I got new internet, as you guys knew. I just switched to Comcast, right?
You never froze yet.
Not yet. I had to dish that AT&T.
Good job, sir.
But I guess I'm behind the times because when I was switching over, I ended up buying my own router and my own modem. You know what I mean? So I could have the internet service at home. And so the brand I bought was Netgear, the router that I got. Mm-hmm. And there's an app that you can download on your phone, and you can turn off the Wi-Fi of any device in your house. And bro, I feel like I got magical powers now. Like,
it's an app on your phone that do the same thing. If you connect it to the Wi-Fi, you kill everybody else's Wi-Fi.
No, well, yeah, I didn't. Well, I guess like through my router, I have that ability where I can turn off the Wi-Fi for the whole house. Because nowadays that's like the only thing that really motivate kids. Like back in the day, we used to love going outside. So it's like your parents tell you can't go outside. You used to be like bummed out, like, dang.
Yep.
Nowadays it's like, hey, if you don't listen, taking away your Wi-Fi. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You're gonna
like,
have to go outside. Yeah, it's like,
right.
That's the punishment.
It's funny, bro.
It's crazy. Just flipped on his head.
And now I feel like I got magical powers because my son, sometimes he'd be on his PS4. I'm like, yo, time to turn it off. 5 minutes have passed by. You're still playing. Like, yo, time to turn the game off. You know, hear me? I go pull up my app. Boop. And I'll just sit there and listen.
Like
I can hear him. Right.
Waiting for it.
And then I hear him. Oh man, exactly. Like, oh man, dang it. And then I can hear him stomping.
I'm lagging.
Yeah. I can hear him stomping upstairs. I'm like, yeah, I told you to get on.
Oh no.
Dad, I was in the middle of the match. I don't care. Or, I'll do the same thing for my daughter.
That's
she,
genius,
hey,
bro.
time to get off your tablet. But if I have to say more than once, I go ahead to the app. Boop. You realize her videos ain't working no more. And then I'll put it to where it's like I ain't turning it on until I'm ready to turn it back on. So get the magical powers, man, if you don't got them already.
I got the neck gear too. I gotta see what that setting hit like.
Yeah, man.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah. That's the best way to get your kids' attention. Tell you. Okay, hit that Wi-Fi
Speaking
button.
of kids' attention, man, my little kid just woke up, man. So I gotta go and lock in with him and make sure he don't get into
anyway,
anything.
Yeah, we closing out anyways. Yeah,
Let's
so
close
perfect timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to kind of touch on social media. Obviously, this could have been a conversation that could be for hours and hours and hours.
Why don't you give us a motivational out? What you got, Ken,
motivational out?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty motivational to me. Hit that Wi-Fi button.
Get the hit.
Yo.
Sometimes.
Man, like we definitely have the ability to really shape our kids' futures. And we really have the ability to shape their brains, and how we shape them now, kind of what Ernest touched on, will affect them for the rest of their lives. Let's hold our kids as fathers, hold our kids to a high standard. Obviously it starts with holding ourselves as a high standard, but I encourage all of us as fathers, mothers, whatever, parents, we really push our kids to stand out from the crowd, and really give our kids those things that we know that they need, and be willing to sacrifice in order to give them those things, like we said, what we touched on earlier, imagination, an attention span, being able to think for themselves, give them those times, take away the tablet and give them a book, make your kids read. We try to make our kids read 20 minutes a day, give them those basic things that sometimes social media and screens robs them of, and be willing to be that parent that gives the kids the energy, because they need that, versus, it may be uncomfortable. It may require more from you when you don't feel like it, when you're tired. But I guess that would be my motivation. Like, shape your kids, shape your kids or the world will shape them.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We out of here.
Peace. Yeet.